Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. We will be breaking down the Yankees trip to the West to face the A's. Still don't know who's pitching tonight. We'll just try to figure out who that's going to be. We also have the new MLB format on the games for 2023. We're going to give our opinions on that. Stanton back. What's the lineup going to look like? What are the corresponding moves? We'll be breaking that all down right here on Pitch Strike Chronicles. All right, so the Yankees are heading out west, and I want to start off with the game. We'll get into the MLB schedule and our opinions on that in a few.
First of all, this is Donald, and that's Rob, and that's Tats.
Yep. Yep. So don't throw me off. It's Thursday. It's early. It's gonna be.
Hey, it's up to you, man.
It's gonna be a late.
Good job. You gotta nail who it is.
I mean, it's going to be a late. Tomorrow's going to be even worse because we're all going to be up till the middle of the night watching these West Coast games. So, but everybody better get that coffees ready, energy drinks, whatever it takes. But
you don't even had yours yet this morning.
No, it's right here. But I see you did it. You did it. Oh God. So. Always having fun. What do you think with Stanton supposed to he's expected to be in the lineup tonight? I think like we said, we think he'll be in the DH role. But how do you see the moves corresponding with him? Who's the odd man out?
You mean lineup wise or roster wise?
Lineup wise, like who ends up riding the bench to get Stanton in the lineup?
Going to be Donaldson or Torres because they can't take Cabrera out right now. He's providing too much with the glove. He's got a 5 DRS in right field right now, which is insane considering he barely played right field. So they can't take him out. You'll have to find a way to get either Torres or Donaldson in the lineup depending on the matchup, whoever they like against Caprillion. So I would think it's going to be Torres. He's been swinging the bat a little bit better than Donaldson, but it's not really much of a comparison. It's one of the two, unless they're trying to give somebody that extra day off, maybe like Rizzo, and they'll put DJ at first, and they'll have both Donaldson and Torres. They like to do those things, so we'll see. But naturally, it would be Donaldson or Torres.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards Torres, even though he was starting to swing it a little better. I think he's defensively, especially in that ballpark, you want to go defensive strong. And I think Donaldson gives you better defense in the infield than Torres right now. So I think that's how I would play it. Donald, what do you think?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, yeah, Torres would be my first pick, but I'm very afraid that it's going to be Cabrera. Very afraid. Because you know how the Yankees love to prove everyone that they are the smartest people in the room. And I've never once seen Torres get in any kind of situation where he's riding the bench for an extended period, even when he was freaking horrible last year. But it should be Torres because Donaldson's played a very good third base. His bat's useless, but he hit that big grand slam. And which obviously has bought him some time, and obviously his defense has been very, 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 very good. So I don't see him riding the bench. So it most likely will be either Torres, and I hate to say it, Cabrera, but it can't be Cabrera because he's been freaking awesome. But I know what the Yankees are like. The Yankees are not a big fan of prospects, even though they love hugging them. They never really like using them. So if Cabrera starts today, I will be really, really happy.
Yeah, no, you can see. I think you're right. You are going to see. It's going to be interesting. You can't say Cabrera. He really is. He's too hot of a utility, of a guy right now that you can really put anywhere you want. We did see on opening day when we were trying to figure out who's going to be, the odd man out. They did choose Torres to be the one that sat to start the game. And so, this isn't uncharted territory for Torres to be the guy that they say not today.
Well, it's only been like 1 or 2 games. He's not really sat that much, Torres.
No, he hasn't. So
he much plays every day.
But you need Cabrera for the outfield. You can't put Stanton out there.
You need Cabrera in general. That his life that he's brought to this team, it can't be equated. He's done such a great job defensively, and obviously his bat's not been terrific, but his bats have been very, very good. And he's drawn walks, and he's drawn deep counts, and the energy he provides, and his defense, as Rob points out, 5 DRS in right field is absolutely mind-blowing.
Now, to put a different spin on it, depending on who you have as your player sitting, what about the lineup? How would you construct the lineup right now?
Well, you don't change what we've been doing with the top of the order. Benintendi and Judge, 1-2, or Benintendi, LeMahieu, Judge, if you want to keep that. So I would probably go Benintendi, DJ, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton as the top 5. I think that what we had earlier was Rizzo in between Judge and Stanton. It was working, so maybe that gets Rizzo going again. Probably Cabrera batting 6, unless they have Donaldson, they'll put him there. Then you could put Cabrera 7, Trevino 8th, IKF 9, or if you want to go Trevino, IKF in a different order. So that's probably the way I see it going. It's if it's Torres or Donaldson, they're going to be batting behind Stanton, and you'll have Cabrera. So at least you have the lefties a little bit scattered apart from each other. Not too many righties lumped up one after the next.
It's hard to picture Rizzo batting 5th, but the thing is, Judge has seen almost no fastballs with Rizzo as his only protection because there's no Stanton. Now with Stanton back, I expect him to start getting some fastballs. I would have Stanton as Judge's protection. So Judge 3, Stanton 4, Rizzo 5. But again, I've never really seen a situation where Rizzo would want to be batting 5th. He's far too good to bat 5th. So you might be in a situation. It'll be Benny from the Bronx 1, Judge 2, Rizzo 3, Stanton 4. I can envisage that, and then LeMahieu 5. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I think it'll be something like that because of the righty-lefty, alternates in the lineup.
Yeah, Boone likes to do that. So
yeah, because otherwise you'd have to go LeMahieu, Benny, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
You could always that's another combination that he can use. Even though I would much rather prefer Benintendi, batting first. I think that should just be his spot. And then you adjust the lineup from there. And so you don't want to have too much in between. I like Rob said, I think having Rizzo between Judge and Stanton will work, but we have to let Stanton's bat warm up first before we start, before that becomes effective.
It's true.
Because otherwise they're not really going to give anybody anything to pitch because they know that Stanton still has to work on getting his timing back. It's not like he spent a week down in rehab games. He only played a couple. And so
just his mere presence will change how Judge is being pitched.
Absolutely. But who's pitching tonight? Because the Yankees still haven't announced who's pitching. And, if they went off of their, who pitched the last game? Cortez started the game against the Mets, right? So that would leave, Tyone?
Cortez.
It was Montas and Herman that went against the Mets. So we're probably going to have Tyone, Cole, Nestor in this series. And then it would be the Montas, Herman, Montas starting the Angels series, first 2 games. So it's going to be some variation of those 3 unless they throw a curveball in there and get some random call up, which they won't call up a starter. So it'll be, I think it's Tyone tonight and then Cole, Nestor, but I could be wrong. That extra day off they might skip the whole natural rotation order and just start with Cole for all I know, but I think it's Tyone.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We're gonna get. I want to get into that more in the Angels series, but I do find it interesting that Art Moreno is thinking about selling the team, and it's just a shame what they did to Trout and with that organization. But did you guys hear about that?
Of course.
Here it is. You have one of the best, two of the best players that are probably in baseball right now, and the owner just cannot figure it out. It's a shame. He might as well just traded them. He was trying to. I think he was looking to move Otani, but Marino, they had a good team. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just decided that they wanted to play middle and low end of the pack in the American League.
Yeah, we'll get into the Angels series down the line, but I mean, we're already dealing with a terrible owner, and that's the A's owner. He's just as freaking bad, if not worse. They had a fantastic team last year, and they traded all their good players, all their good pitchers. I mean, they're a shameful organization. Place is empty.
Yeah, well, that's and when the fans that do show up, we know what they're not paying attention to the game.
Exactly. They should be thanked for just being there and putting money in there, even if they're putting in a public show.
Even the commissioner of baseball, we don't like about him, he agreed this is not fit for a major league team. The stadium's a joke. The team's a joke. They're ran like a joke. The whole Moneyball thing is gone because everyone in baseball is doing it now. So they need to be moved. And that if there's anyone that needs to sell a team and get some new faces and some fresh faces in an organization, it's Oakland. Because those fans, when they do show up and they're not, going through extra activities in the outfield, they're passionate. They like their baseball. They're very
passionate.
They're very passionate. Very passionate.
They love their A's, baby. They love their A's.
They love their A's. They love their B's. Let me stop.
Get hot and heavy over the A's.
They love their team over there in the bleachers up there in the upper deck. But yeah, they need some fresh ownership. They need a new stadium. They're probably going to move out of Oakland. Maybe they go to Vegas. Vegas is a hot city for sports now, so something's got to be done. That dump of a stadium, that whole team just needs a new, fresh facelift and everything. It's a shame, but it needs to be done.
No, it seems like except for with the exception of the Dodgers, the teams in California just don't. There's no appeal. There's no.
What about the San Francisco Giants?
Well, the Giants. I'm saying for this season, there's really nothing to watch out west. Like nobody's staying up to nobody's that's an A's fan that lives on the East Coast is staying up to watch those games.
Nobody that's an A's fans living in the West Coast are watching any of those games. Place is absolutely empty. I've never seen anything like it.
But who would want to go watch them? All the good players are gone. They traded Bassett. They traded I forgot his name. The one that went to San Diego. I don't know why his name is escaping me. But they traded everybody. And they just traded Montas. And they're probably going to trade whoever else is left. Olsen was traded to Atlanta. Manaea, that's it.
Manaea. Chapman as well.
Chapman. The whole team is gone. So why would anyone want to go watch them? It's not like they have this whole group of prospects that are coming up right now. They just cut Elvis Andrus, and he was struggling with the team for a year and a half, 2 years. So they just let him go. So you're watching this really ragtag group. It's like Major League when you're watching that random group of players just come together, and that's what you get. So until they start winning and they actually keep a group together for more than maybe 2 years, no one's going to want to show up.
It's shameful because they were actually good last year. It's not like they were last place and they're like, okay, well, we've got really good guys that have got value. We'll trade them off and we'll rebuild. It's not that situation. They were a good team, a young team that could build together, but because they're cheap and they don't care about their organization, that they just decided and because they don't want to pay for free agents or pay any new contracts, they just get rid of them. And and the A's fans have to deal with their own make their own fun, because there's no fun watching them for 3.5 hours. You might as well do something else. It's really awful. And to be honest, like if our commissioner really cared, he would. They should be fined for that. They should be draft picks for the way they're doing it, because I think it's completely wrong. It's completely against the spirit of sports, completely the spirit of baseball, that you've got a competitive team, a good team, and it's not like they were an expensive team, and they go rid of them for no real reason other than the fact that they're cheap and they want to sell.
Now, it's almost like they had this whole Moneyball thing, and now they're seeing the downside of it and where it doesn't work, and trying to be lower end. You can't have a utility guy in every position because and save money and still remain competitive. The only team that really seems to be able to do that really well are the Rays. But even the Rays, when warranted, will give out the contract to their players. It's not like they don't pay anybody. They're very picky of who they pay.
They're smart though. They do it.
Everybody.
Yeah, the Rays do it like early on when a player gets hot, like a Rosarena got paid, and then I think they paid Wander Franco like immediately.
Yeah.
So they do it. They're a cheap team. They operate on a budget, but they do it wisely, and they're able to keep a good group together. Even when they move on from certain players, they're able to replace them immediately because they got a good farm system. Oakland has good prospects that are on the come up, and they've called up a few guys this year already. But again, they haven't built towards anything. A lot of their trades you're kind of scratching your head at because they didn't seem, in my opinion, it didn't seem like they got enough for Manaea or for Olsen. I feel like they could have gotten more for those kind of players. They're just trading off players to trade them off. And even next year, you can expect Murphy to probably get dealt. Maybe they trade Laureano. So it's like, who else is left? And are all these prospects you're bringing in going to work out? Probably not. So they have to build something. And fans aren't going to want to watch this team. Look at Baltimore. They had a bunch of prospects. And it wasn't until they started winning that the fans were showing up. And now you can't find an empty seat in Baltimore because the team's winning. But Oakland, it's all green seats. It's empty. No one wants to go to the games because the team is not good. They were an 86 win team last year, like Donald said. They were close. They were close to a playoff spot. They weren't going to make it, but they weren't bad either. You could have added some pieces to that team and said, let's go try for that extra wild card spot. They were right there, and they didn't want to do it. They operated like they had nobody. It is shameful.
It's almost like before this year, in the past few years, the A's have kind of been that team that was competitive enough to be a spoiler for a lot of teams, but weren't able to get over the hump to get into a playoff spot. And it's kind of, and it worked for them. They were that team that, you knew weren't going to be a huge threat, but just enough of a pain in the ass to spoil your fun. And now they're just a laughing stock.
Yeah. If they would have kept that team together, Manaea, Montas, Blackburn was an all-star this year. Cole Irvin's looking pretty good. They had Kaprelian. That's a good rotation right there. You had Matt Olson. You have Matt Chapman. You had Murphy. You have Laureano, who's playing this year. Tony Kemp's a solid player. They have pieces there that you can build around, and you have Langiers, who just got called up at the catching position, so Murphy's on the out anyway. But they had pieces they can move, and they had guys they can keep and build a pretty solid team. And with that extra wild card spot, who knows what could have happened? Because look at Baltimore. They're right there. Seattle's in it right now. So anything could happen in baseball. And if anyone knows that, it's the Oakland Athletics, because they've had teams that no one thought were going to make it. Back in 2012, they were making runs for the postseason. So I don't get it. I think it's a shame because they should be a lot better. They should be ran a lot better. And the fans out there out west, they deserve better.
They win the wild card 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
So they were a lot more than just a pain in the ass. They were right there.
No, and it's one of those situations where Manfred has to step in and kind of force the sale. I think that's the only way to save the organization from just completely collapsing. And Manfred is not every fan's most favorite commissioner in the four key sports, but Manfred has his moments where he'll do something where the fans go, I kind of like that. And I think that's what's going to lead us into with the new 2023 schedule that was released. And now all 30 teams will play all 30 teams. So I it's going to shorten the division games, I think, by 3. So rather than playing your division 18 times, it's going to be 15, I believe. Um,
Yeah,
I like the new schedule, but what do you guys think?
I got some of the highlights here. It's 52
right.
total division games, 64 total intra-league games, 46 total interleague games. So you're playing everybody, which is about time. 162 games, you should be playing everybody. It should not be the Yankees play the Mets 4 times a year and they play the NL East. No, you should be playing everybody. There's too many damn games for you not to have every team play each other. And this is the big stuff. Opening day, Jackie Robinson Day, Lou Gehrig Day, Roberto Clemente Day, July 4th, and game 162. Every single team plays. They got it right. It took them long enough. They finally got it right. And they're going to make a big emphasis. They call it game 162. That's where a lot of divisions get settled, a lot of wild card spots. They're making it a big deal. They're going to highlight that. They got a logo for it. They're doing it right. And it's about damn time because we talked about it this year. Not everybody played on Jackie Robinson Day, right? Not everybody played on July 4th. Lou Gehrig. These are special days in baseball where you're celebrating some of the sport's greatest players. Every team should be playing, and there should be special patches and logos and everything to celebrate that player for every single team. They're finally doing it starting next year. Is it late? Yes, but is it deserved? Absolutely. And it's never too late to make a good change. And Manfred and MLB, they got it right.
They really did. I'm really excited that the Yankees are playing the Pirates on Roberto Clemente Day. It's absolutely perfect because obviously the Pirates have that very famous World Series over the Yankees, and they get a rematch with us again because that was a lot of fun. Obviously, I was at this series over in Pittsburgh. The place is absolutely packed, a lot of it Yankee fans, and it's a lot of fun. So it's going to be perfect that it's at PNC, Roberto Clemente Day. There's a Roberto Clemente museum over there. They really celebrate their history. In fact, the old wall and the old home plate is actually right there in the center of Pittsburgh, of where the old park was, where that famous World Series is. So, they really celebrate their history over there. So it's an ideal time, ideal matchup there. So I'm excited about that. Excited about the Yankees Dodgers. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is great because I'm tired of playing the same team 600 times, right? Yeah. It's good that we're playing a little bit of difference because listen, basketball, like everyone plays each other in basketball. There's no reason why we shouldn't play everyone in MLB. So it's going to be really good. It's going to make things a little bit more fun. I always enjoy interleague games. I always enjoy it. It always makes it a little different, a little bit of a change. And I'm excited about the Dodgers, especially excited about the Pirates. I'll definitely be going to that game. I think this is great. And full credit to MLB and Manfred. I have to say, nailed it this time, man. Nailed it.
Yeah, I think what happened was there was a kind of like a conference at the MLB headquarters with some of the players, some people from the management level in MLB, that were trying to figure out how to better promote the game. And they brought in players to get their point of view, which I think was a very smart move. Mm-hmm. The one player I know that was there because he shared a picture of him in the meeting was Edwin Diaz, and he had a lot of suggestions of how MLB could better promote itself through the players.
Shout out!
I think playing every team every year, like we're highlighting, the history of the game, having, with the opening that with Jackie Robinson Day, Lou Gehrig, Clemente playing on the 4th of July. Having all those teams play on those days, that is going to, that's something we were screaming about for 2 years.
We should
not be off on those days. No team. And, Manfred actually got something right. Finally, Took him long enough, but at least he got here.
Mm-hmm. It shows that people really care about the game, and that's what we want. We want the history celebrated, and we want the game improved, and we want it out to more people. And these moves is certainly a step in the right direction.
Do you think if it ever comes down to where, specifically with Roberto Clemente, I always said that I think that should be the next number retired in baseball. Do you think if as Clemente Day gets highlighted, do you think that that's something they'll start to move towards, or Robertson is going to be the only one?
I mean, they should if they have a specific day for him. Him and Gehrig, they're celebrating Lou Gehrig Day and Clemente Day. So I think those are two numbers that probably should at least be explored, possibly retiring. Because when you look at 21, obviously if you're a Yankee fan, you think of Paul O'Neill, but that's retired now. But you look around baseball, you see 21, you're like, that's Clemente. And if you see, obviously you see Lou Gehrig's number, you're like, that's Lou Gehrig. But I think they could, but there's a lot of great players in the history of the game. So you're kind of getting to interesting territory. It's like, well, then why not retire Hank Aaron's number too while you're at it? So maybe they don't do it, but if they leave it at just those two guys, I wouldn't be opposed to it because they're celebrating them anyway starting next year with having every team playing on their day. So if they want to retire those two numbers, and that's fine with me.
I think the argument could also be made that what Jackie did was just so different in that era because it transcended just what the game that they were playing. It changed the whole country. So that's why Robinson's always had that distinct honor of being the guy. But I think Clemente could be the next guy that you could really make a strong case for. But I think either way they go, there's no shame in what decision they make, because it might open. Because like you said, it could open a rabbit hole. Well, oh, what about that guy? Well, what about how come Mike? What about players from my culture? So it really opens Pandora's box that might not need to be opened.
Yeah.
Donald, what's your opinion on it?
What, retiring Roberto Clemente?
Yeah, with a league-wide retired number.
I mean, yeah. I think he's probably right there, but then you could also mention Hank Aaron. There's a bunch of guys as well. I think as long as their days are celebrated, and as the team retires a jersey in the league-wide, probably not necessary at the moment, but we can look into it down the line. But in the last minute or two, the Yankees are going to call up AAA closer Greg Weisser. Have to mention him. He is filthy. If you look at his slider, it's like a wiffle ball pitch. It's insane. The movement that he generates on it is insane. His stats are crazy. Over the last 30 innings pitched, 0.59 ERA, 40% strikeouts, 0%, 0.73 whip, and 2 FIP. He is absolutely insane. His numbers are crazy, and his slider, man, is like a honestly, it's like you're playing MLB The Show.
Yeah, he's nuts. He's got a 45.5 ground ball percentage, so he keeps the ball on the ground. He has a high strikeout percentage, and his walk percentage is down. From Tom Kosenki on Twitter, he does all this great stuff for minor leagues for the Yankees. He had like 9 walks in April, and since then he has about 10. So he's been getting his command up. He's keeping the walks down. He's getting the outs via the strikeout, the ground ball. He's been outstanding, and it's a long time coming because he's been with the organization since 2016 he was drafted, and he's 27 now, and he's got some great stuff. Like you said, Donald, he's filthy. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see him pitch, and I'm excited for this guy. Because no one really talks about him. He's like a Marinaccio. No one knew who he was until he got called up. Now they're going to know who he is because this guy's got good stuff.
Yeah, well, even if you're not familiar with him, Boone has a habit of putting these guys right into a game when they do come up. So if you're not familiar with him, you will be in the next couple of days. But that is going to wrap things up for us for today. tomorrow we will break down tonight's game if we're still awake. So wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.